Greetings from the channel again. Today we're going to address a subject that frequently men up, knowing when a female is sincerely intrigued by you, and more particularly when she's providing you with the all clear to proceed. Right now, I want to be direct right away. The majority of guys totally overlook these indicators, not because they're not being given by women, but because we're taught to misinterpret, overthink, or worse, completely disregard the indications. And believe me, based on my years of expertise as a therapist, I've witnessed it repeatedly and again. Picture yourself seated across from someone you find attractive. You sense the tension, the subtle change in the space, but you're not sure. That hesitancy can cost you time that might have been exceptional. I've working with folks who have a long history later and become aware of the indications throughout. They simply failed to notice them. It's also not their fault. The society instructs males to exercise caution and to wait for signals of explicit consent that are frequently hidden beneath layers of subtlety. What then? Today, I want to dissect it in a manner that is understandable, useful, and based on practical experience. These aren't they corny or abstract theories, pick-up strategies. These are observations I've created numerous times with people, managing closeness, attraction, and relationship. We will discuss verbal clues, body language, and the small hints that may appear nearly imperceptible initially. Here's the worst part though. Recognizing these indicators isn't about mind games or manipulation. It's concerning interpreting emotional and social cues, precisely so that you can react in a manner that is self-assured, courteous, and sincere. By the time this video ends, you will comprehend the subtle methods by which a lady expresses interest and how to get close to her without hesitating, over-analyzing, or awkwardness. Some of what I'll say could question everything you believed you understood the concepts of attraction and flirtation. Moreover, you must hear it for precisely that reason. Now, let's get started. First, vibrant eyes provide a lot of information. When discussing attraction, one of the most underutilized yet effective signals through her eyes a woman gives. I cannot express the number of times I've had. Across from me, clients sit and describe interactions in which they were totally unaware of the nuanced ways a woman was expressing interest. The eyes are not merely a window into the spirit, they are directly related to emotional intent. Moreover, women tend to communicate more through their eyes rather than their words. In my after years of experience, I've noticed that when a lady is truly attracted to, her gaze will linger for a moment on someone, longer than usual. It has nothing to do with aggressively gazing or forcing someone to uneasy. It concerns the instance of link, where there is warmth in her gaze or a fascinating curiosity. She's not merely observing you, she is observing the information, your movements, the way you grin, even in your voice, changes when you talk. That focus is intentional, even though it's frequently inconspicuous. An additional feature is the glitter or her eyes widened. In treatment sessions, I've assisted men in realizing the slight, nearly unconscious expansion of a woman's pupils are powerful. Physiological reaction to the attraction. It occurs organically when someone is intrigued by you. Additionally, even if it's something you're not aware of register, it is noticeable to your subconscious. Right away. People say this for a reason. Around someone's eyes light up. They enjoy it. It's genuine and biologically based. However, it's not only regarding making close eye contact. Occasionally, there are less indications. Brief looks that flicker throughout a space. Several glances when she believes you're not observing, or slight changes in her posture herself to look at you. These are the moments that are frequently missed due to the fact that men are trained to wait for speech as opposed to seeing conduct. Moreover, there are a lot of opportunities here. Lost? Oh. What I always stress is, this is what males are. Interpreting eye signals needs to be present. You must slow down, take note of, and truly see her, rather than take a peek. It's about obtaining the cadence of her focus, how she, when you talk, your eyes soften, or the tiny bursts of curiosity and amusement that move over her face. These indicators are nearly impossible to falsify regularly, which makes them amazingly dependable. Recognizing this one basic component, a woman's utilization of her eyes to converse, can fully modify your approach to her. It creates a bridge of connection that existed before speech never get involved in the discussion. Acquiring the ability to observe and decipher these clues isn't manipulation, it's consciousness. When you see her gaze brighten or stay fixed on you, with curiosity you are cordially invited to move forth with assurance, understanding that the signals are genuine. Secondly, subtle touches that convey curiosity, delicate touches that convey curiosity. Among the most obvious indicators that a woman is interested. The way she uses touch is in you. Right now, I wish to be explicit. I'm not referring to anything explicit or improper. I'm discussing the tiny, nearly unintentional gestures that convey curiosity and interest. Throughout the years, I've collaborated with innumerable men who totally misinterpreted or missed these messages, frequently as a result of, instead of paying, wait for words focus on conduct. And that's precisely where a lot of males make mistakes. In my experience, a lady interested in you will discover subtle methods to establish a physical connection, even in informal settings. It could be her hand lightly brushing against yours. When transferring something, a gentle touch on your shoulder while giggling or making adjustments your hair or jacket in a light-hearted manner. These are not arbitrary moments, they're her method of signaling and assessing comfort relationship. I've noticed that when a woman does this, she frequently searches for a reaction, whether intentional or unconsciously, attempting to determine whether you observe, if you return the favor, and if you feel at ease having her around. An additional layer of touch entails close proximity. Interested women will automatically shorten the physical distance when engaging with you. Consider a dialogue in which she leans in a little, puts herself in a position where she's either fully facing you or gently slanting her body in your direction. These modifications are seldom deliberate in the manner that we plan your gestures carefully. They take place nearly reflexively since she feels attracted to you. With time, these physical rhythm is produced by the accumulation of signals, of communication that is more than words could ever express. However, here's a crucial point. Comprehending touch is concerning consent and context as well. A casual tap or a pleasant slap on the back can have various meanings based on her vigor, the moment, and the circumstances. What gives a touch significance is constancy and the amalgamation of additional signals. When repeated, intentional, and accompanied by grins, giggles, and with careful body language, touch turns into a trustworthy sign that she desires a stronger bond. Being a therapist, I frequently inform guys that the secret to awareness is the ability to interpret these signs. Observe her interactions with you, in contrast to others. Is she figuring things out to establish brief interactions solely with you? Does she appear amusing, inquisitive, or feeling a bit anxious around you? These little personal gestures are how she's opening a door, but it's your responsibility to acknowledge it and move through with assurance. Touch and other physical cues are frequently used by women to say, without expressing it, she feels secure, intrigued, and inquisitive. When you acquire knowledge to observe, decipher, and react in the right way, you create a modest but strong bond. It's not manipulation, it's consciousness, sensitivity, as well as assurance in managing attraction. The female who thoughtfully employs touch is providing you with a map. Pay close attention to it, and you'll understand when it's appropriate to make you're making fun of what you say, even when they're not humorous. Third, giggling at your statements, even when they're not humorous. The ability to laugh is among the most undervalued cues a lady gives when she's considering you. I've observed I keep doing that at work. Men take a seat opposite a person they like, and each joke, each and every remark, including those that are not at all humorous, make others laugh or a grin. Initially, they believe she's just being courteous. However, in practice, it's a subtle yet effective method of demonstrating relationship. During treatment sessions, I frequently men should be asked to consider these times, and it's nearly always a pivotal moment in assisting them in comprehending the messages they haven't been seen. This is the problem. When you say something that makes a woman chuckle, even those who lack intelligence or especially amusing, it's her style of expressing how much she likes having you around. It's not about comedy. Engagement is key, consolation and emotional bonding. I've seen numerous instances where males thought she was merely courteous or pleasant, subsequently discovering that her laughter was regularly accompanied by attentive making eye contact, bending over, or having fun taunting. These little actions are effective. Collectively, to provide an extremely distinct signal, she wants to know. She feels secure with she wants you to take notice of her. Interest. And further crucial feature is timing. When a female is truly curious, and she frequently laughs at unforeseen events, not only in reaction to jokes, something might make her laugh. You speak in passing or while exchanging glances, or nuanced observation. That impulsive and almost instinctive reaction is an unintentional method of strengthening a relationship. Based on my observations, these are the times that men often forget, not taking them seriously as coincidences when in fact that they are reliable indicators of allure. Additionally, laughter produces a loop of feedback. The more she chuckles and demonstrates sincere delight, the more you feel confident, and that confidence draws her in even more naturally. In therapy, I urge males to consider this dynamic. Attraction is more than regarding biased observation, it's in trade. When a woman continuously reacts with kindness, humor, and shared pleasure, she's indicating that she desires more than light conversation. She's asking you to match her vitality. And lastly, it's not only about listening to laughter, it's about observing how it is presented. A quiet chuckle when your gazes lock, a light-hearted giggle that highlights her smile, or a sudden of sincere laughter at something ordinary. These are indicators of emotion. They claim that she has a stake in the time spent with you. Interpreted, when done right, laughing turns into a map of interest, leading you to recognizing her motivations without any discomfort or speculation. Comprehending laughter's power isn't about taking informal civility too far. It involves identifying trends, emotional consistency, as well as the background of her involvement. If a woman makes fun of you, truly chuckles, it's her way of saying she is open-minded, inquisitive, and quietly bold. You to take action. You miss it if you miss it. The chance. Observe it and take a step with assurance into a connection. Fourth, looking for reasons to spend time with you, making up reasons to be around you. Among the most subtle yet significant indicators, when a woman considers you attractive, she reasons to be in your presence. This isn't always overt or theatrical. It frequently appears in a modest, seemingly informal methods. I've heard reports from clients that aptly demonstrate this. 1. For instance, the client was in the early phases of dating a person he truly liked. He saw that she would unintentionally appear at the coffee shop where he was, in class or even on group excursions both of them went. Initially, he brushed dismiss it as a coincidence. However, as a therapist, I frequently assist guys with realizing these patterns are recurring. Persistent attempts to be close to someone are seldom unintentional. In partnerships, being close is an effective strategy. My customer ultimately discovered that her subtle, not all appearances were coincidental. She was establishing chances for participation, to engage, and to strengthen the bond. It has nothing to do with overt statements or dramatic movements. Not that she was saying, "I like you completely," but each and every the action she took to be near him was an invitation. In my therapy, I placed a strong emphasis on think these instances are indicators of intrigue and curiosity. Women who are attracted people often set up situations where closeness can develop organically without forcing the problem. Another crucial, her vitality when she's close you. My customer observed that when she was in the same area, she appeared more vibrant, more involved, and even light-hearted in contrast to her interactions with others. This is very important. It's not only about being there in person, it's regarding the way she acts around you. Attraction frequently appears in a blend of energy and presence. She is letting you know what she wants, your interest, desires attention, and gently promoting communication. This. Additionally, behavior is a measure of your reactivity. She is observing how you respond when she's there, how you react when she crafts these opportunities. At first, my customer was uncertain. Whether to act or leave things alone occur organically. However, as time went on, he discovered that these recurring indicators weren't accidental, they were invitations. Acknowledging them permitted him to handle the circumstance with assurance, as opposed to hesitancy, building a more powerful emotional relationship. To put it briefly, making reasons to, there is a quiet yet strong presence around you. Mode of communication. It's a method for a lady to express interest while keeping a degree of nuance, defending herself emotionally until she's comfortable enough to communicate more clearly. When you observe, you are accountable for these patterns, to watch, analyze, and react suitably. Knowledge of this behavior has the power to convert uncertainty into lucidity, reluctance, and confidence action and interest in important relationship. The experience of my client shows that if you pay attention to these few, deliberate moments of presence, the way to establish a connection becomes much more lucid. Mirroring the way you move and vigor. Fifth, reflecting your movements and vitality. An additional indication that I've noticed that a woman is interested in you, observed in partnerships on a regular basis. Reflecting your energy and motions. This may seem delicate, even too subtle. Though barely noticeable, it's a strong sign of comfort and interest. One early in their relationship, one of my clients shared a story that demonstrates this is ideal. He saw that when he crossed his arms, she would do the same without realizing it. As soon as she leaned forward to talk, leaning forward as well. Initially, he believed he was picturing it, but eventually he recognized it was a regular occurrence. This mirroring was voluntary, it came naturally, it was almost automatic, and it told her sincere curiosity. Mirroring is one way to nonverbal exchanges that foster connection and rapport. In treatment sessions, I inform men about this. The foundation of behavior is empathy and unconscious attraction. When an individual reflects what you do, it's their method of "I'm in sync," a nonverbal signal with you. "I like having you around, I feel connected." The experience of my customer demonstrated to him that the gestures weren't random. They were a component of her communication style, her emotional involvement and attention. Additionally, it's amazing how reflecting goes beyond non-verbal cues. I've observed women gently take on speaking habits, vocal tones, or even the rhythms of laughter that correspond to the persons in whom they are attracted in. In the instance of my customer, he observed that she would mimic some of his words, or react with a similar sense of humor. These patterns aren't intentional, they're a representation of the underlying impulse to foster peace and intimacy. Acknowledging this enables males to recognize when they are truly appreciated and when there's an expanding emotional bond. One more. One important thing I stress in treatment is that mirroring is frequently combined with additional signals, forming a system of indications. In the case of my client, the mirroring was coupled with amusing touches, regular eye contact, and laughs at even ordinary remarks. When combined, these signals provide a distinct image. She was at ease, secure, and drawn to him. It's simple to ignore one action as an accident, but when several signals group together, it's a clear sign of interest. Additionally, comprehending mirroring empowers men to react properly. When you observe how she discreetly matches your "it's a green light" when there are motions or energy. To participate more thoroughly without over-analyzing or pressuring the conversation. A non-verbal dialogue is taking place. Beneath the surface, and identifying it enables you to move with assurance instead of reluctance. My customers. The narrative shows that when you pay awareness of these signals, attraction becomes less enigmatic and interactions become more organic, flowing, and significant. To put it briefly, mirroring is more as opposed to imitation. It's a signal of emotion. A lady who reflects you is demonstrating that she is at ease and feels a connection around you and is expressing curiosity, realizing this could be the turning moment in transitioning from inquisitiveness to a stronger bond in a partnership. Manipulating her look while you're messing with her appearance close to sixth when you're close. Among the most delicate yet effective ways a woman expresses interest is by manipulating her appearance when she is in your vicinity. I've observed this numerous occasions over my career as a therapist, and it's amazing how men tend to ignore it entirely. This isn't about shallowness or conceit, it's a really human method of communication, curiosity, coziness, and allure. Women frequently take part in tiny, very unintentional actions to display themselves in a way that appeals to a person they like. And once you're aware, knowing what to look for makes it obvious signal. I recall a customer who was meeting a new person. He saw not much items. She would style her hair. Frequently, when speaking with him, make adjustments, delicately brush her cheek or her jewelry. Initially, he believed he was overanalyzing, but the trend was constant. These acts weren't arbitrary. They served as her method of drawing focus, establishing a relationship, and feeling secure in his company. I frequently clarify in treatment that these human desires are the foundation of behaviors. To have someone recognize and value you, we are attracted to. It is a type of speechless nonverbal communication volumes that contain not a single word. One more. Typical examples are attire or posture, modifications. Women frequently unconsciously change to show themselves in their best light when they're around someone they like. Perhaps she straightens her jacket, crosses her legs in a particular manner, or changes her posture to be more approachable and friendly. Over time, I've observed men understand that these tiny, reliable gestures are trustworthy markers of allure. My customer explained how observing these particulars gave him the self-assurance to interact more directly, realizing that her actions were purposeful, even though she was unaware of it intentionally. Additionally, it's critical to think about the situation. These actions are most significant when they take place, frequently in your vicinity, and are paired adding other cues such as eye contact, giggling, or playful contact. An exceptional gesture might just be a coincidence, but interest is indicated by a pattern. I emphasize to males in treatment that paying attention to details is crucial. Observing how she engages with her physical appearance in your presence helps us understand her emotional condition and degree of interest. Lastly, comprehending this conduct helps males react organically as opposed to thinking too much. When a female is discreetly manipulating her jewelry, hair, or it's an invitation to adopt this position, it indicates that she is at ease, intrigued, and wants you to see her in a manner that is both personal and simple. The experience of my client demonstrates that being aware of these indicators enables males to approach conversations with assurance, reacting reciprocally with engagement, affection, and attention. In summary, manipulating appearance is a subtle, non-verbal manner in which a woman expresses interest. It's delicate, dependable, and incredibly human. When you identify and react to these cues, when done carefully, it improves relationships and makes relocating the relationship much more instinctive and natural. Telling intimate tales and feeling clues. 7. Sharing intimate tales and sentimental cues. Among the most 7 indicators that a woman is interested in you is when she begins to provide intimate information, narratives, and sentimental clues. In my work as a therapist, I've seen believe women are inherently receptive to others they are curious about and trust. It's a sophisticated method of exploring the possibilities, observing if you're perceptive, understanding, and able to return emotional relationship. One of my clients shared an encounter with the woman he was seeing, started sharing little personal anecdotes with him, discusses her upbringing, her goals, and as well as her fears. Initially, he didn't give it much thought, but eventually, he understood that disclosing these specifics was her method of establishing closeness, indicating that she felt secure in his company and found him attractive. Here, the crucial element is regularity and purpose. Distributing a unique personal story could just be informal dialogue, but when a lady drops this emotive hints, it indicates that she's attempting to establish a closer bond. I frequently tell men receiving therapy should focus on the background. Is she becoming more forthcoming, as opposed to how she treats others? Does she expose aspects of herself that are meaningful or vulnerable? These are strong markers of interest due to sharing vulnerability is not something that is done carelessly. How she responds is another nuanced aspect. After sharing. My customer observed that when she revealed something private to him, she would look at him, almost anticipating for a reaction or answer. This is a test. She's determining if you're involved, sympathetic, and emotionally in the present. Women are drawn to men by nature, who is capable of managing emotional depth without judgment, as well as telling personal tales is a method of assessing that. In my sessions, I frequently clarify that observing and reacting to these feelings properly is essential. It has nothing to do with attempting to impress or overanalyzing. It's about being fully present and be mindful. Additionally, emotional cues can show up in light or casual remarks, taunting. Occasionally, she will make references to indirect experiences or emotions, similar to leaving breadcrumbs, to see if you notice them. My customer discovered that keeping an eye on these tiny clues that enabled him to react with kindness and comprehension, which grew the allure. It's astounding how much a lady is able to speak without ever expressing her interest directly. Everything is woven into the narratives, the small details, as well as how she observes for your response. And lastly, the beauty of these emotional cues is that they encourage reciprocity. When you reply with consideration, sharing your own, experiencing, or demonstrating compassion, it establishes a feedback loop that reinforces relationship and confidence. Realizing that when a lady gives you these clues, you can to proceed with assurance. Realizing that the signals are sincere and purposeful. To put it briefly, when a woman talks about her own experiences and faint emotional cues, it's an indication of curiosity, desire, and trust. Making a payment, paying attention to these instances, enables you to react in a way that fosters closeness, organically strengthens bonds, and demonstrates her that you are sensitive to her emotions, laying the groundwork for an important next final phase. Knowing when it's not about speculating when a woman shows interest in you or pondering too much, it's about observing her signals are consistent and subtle, from her lingering gaze to her playful touches, giggling together, and the tiny ways she performs or reflects your energy. Every indication of her look conveys a narrative. When she talks about her own experiences, with sentimental clues, she's welcoming relationship and confidence. Being attentive. You can approach her by paying attention to these cues, with assurance, sincerity, and reverence. Recognizing and reacting to these signals change uncertainty into clarity, providing you with the chance to move organically and meaningfully.